everyone, welcome to the Wide League's World's Rumble. We are going to get straight into our first game with Pengy versus... I can't actually see his opponent at the moment, but I think we will find out very, very shortly. So turn 1 has already started. We're probably in turn 2 or turn 3 right now.
Yes, it is. And Pengy right now is facing against a Regieleki and a Heatran. And he is in for a fun matchup against two legendary Pokemon with a Mouse Hold and an Annihilate on his side of the field, as we do see a Moongus come out here, get some bulk out there for his opponent.
And we're going to see a Terrestrialization coming out straight away. So Mousehold Annihilate, not something that we've seen as much in Regulation D, but now this Mousehold is going to get that nice Terra Grass, possibly, predicting that Among coming in and trying to dodge any sort of spores, and also just to resist any super effect, really strong neutral hits coming off from that Regieleki. And now this Annihilate is going to get a very, very big boost to its attack from the beat up.
Yes, it is. Rage Fist is now going to get 4 extra power buffs, but also what's interesting to note is that by going with the Terra Grass on the Mousehold, it was able to avoid any Rage Powers plus Spores from the Amoonguss, but it does not matter as Rage Fist knocks out that Amoonguss in one hit.
It's very rare to see an Amoonguss get knocked out from full HP from just a neutral hit, not a super effective one. But now this Landorus is going to come in, and if this is a Defiant Annihilate, it's going to get an attack boost. So we will see what sort of... yes, it is a Defiant Annihilate. So now this Annihilate with a 200 base power Rage Fist and also a +1 attack is going to be really, really threatening. And I think we're just going to wait on our screens, and yes, here's the screen. Mousehold is going to switch out, and in comes the Rillaboom, so helping its teammates, for all the Pokemon on the team, just to regain some health at the end of the turn. And also just Earthquake is now going to be dealing less damage if the Landorus goes for it.
Yes, it is, but we also have to keep in mind that with Earthquake on the Landorus Therian, it would affect its teammate Regieleki as well, as we do see a Terra Flying Landorus come out here. So right now, Pengy's side of the field does have 2 Pokemon that are weak to a flying type move from the Landorus.
And the Annihilate does wisely protect there, just trying to dodge any super effective hits. Regieleki is also going to go for a Thunderbolt into this Annihilate and Terra Blast. So a fantastic protect right there, just dodging all these super effective and really powerful hits. And now we can see, is that Pengy's screen? Just, I think, recognizing that that wasn't the turn that went quite well according to plan, because that Rillaboom was able to get in for free.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think about as well. But you also have to keep in mind that now that the Landorus is Terra Flying, it does not resist, or now it does resist the Drain Punches. But now you see the Fake Out come out. Pengy trying to get the flinch off on the Landorus. However, Regieleki with a Transistor boosted Thunderbolt now just powers up that Rage Fist even more, which Heatran does not like.
No, it does not indeed. That Heatran has just been knocked out from full HP from this Annihilate that has now been hit, I think, 4 times now from what we can see. 250 power. And, with a +1 attack boost, not very many Pokemon can take a hit from this Annihilate. But now Landorus coming in one more time, dropping the Annihilate. But of course, with the Defiant acting one more time, this Annihilate is going to be at +2 attack.
Yes, it is. At +2 attack, it is now essentially dealing double damage on every one of its attacks, on top of that Rage Fist, which has already been powered up. I think it's up to 300 base power now, because it starts out at base 50, and then every attack that hits it boosted by 50 up until a base of 350, as we see Electro Whip to try to get some speed control on the Annihilate and the Rillaboom, but only the Rillaboom is hit.
Yes, so that protect one more time, just playing really, really conservatively, protecting the Annihilate, which once again is able to protect itself from a super effective flying type move. And that U-turn coming out is going to allow the Rillaboom to switch out. And Rillaboom being so slow now, it ended up being quite that Electro Whip worked quite well in its favor, because being this slow, of course, now Pengy is going to be able to switch in a Pokemon from the without taking any sort of damage.
And in comes his Fluttermane. Fluttermane is one of the most powerful special attackers in the game today with that base 135 special attack, special defense, and speed. So it'll take any of these transistor boosted Regieleki moves, but it remains to be seen what happens with the Landorus if it goes into the Annihilate or if it goes into the Fluttermane, recognizing the threat of its special prowess.
You know what's really interesting about this game is that this Regieleki has been on the field for this entire game, and Regieleki is normally a really, really frail Pokemon, so I'm actually really surprised to see it stay on the field. Of course, the Annihilate is going to switch out, it is going to lose that +2 attack boost, but, with its Rage Fist boosted up, I don't think it really cares about all the resetting its attack.
And Fluttermane going for the Moonblast into the Regieleki, but Regieleki protects, and out comes the Terra Blast. This is going to do super effective damage onto the Rillaboom, and it KOs the Rillaboom.
Yes, I think that might have been actually a bit of a play by Pengy there, just knowing that there's a Terra Blast coming out onto the Annihilate slot, because the Annihilate did protect that last turn, and perhaps he wanted to just save that Annihilate, make sure that it is healthy in the back, and get another free switch in, because the Annihilate is now really, really boosted, and with the next to the Fluttermane, it's quite scary. But of course, the Regieleki, with access to Electro Web, is able to drop the speed of that Fluttermane to -1, and once the Fluttermane speed is dropped, with the way dynamic speed mechanics work, the Landorus might be able to pick up a knockout with Terra Blasts onto that Fluttermane. So that was a bit of a safe play from Pengy there, just making sure that he's conserving the Pokemon that he really, really needs. And Rillaboom maybe not quite as useful anymore, because it's really done its job of setting up the grassy terrain, and it maybe if Pengy thought he get it in for free, he could have some fake out pressure, but this is quite a nice board position for him.
Protect coming out on the Mousehold, trying to bait out the Terra Blast into the Mousehold spot. Regieleki goes for Electro Web. Let's see how much this Transistor boost does. It does do a decent amount of damage to Fluttermane with the speed drop, but it's still faster than the Landorus, and the Moonblast KOs the Regieleki. It is finally down.
Oh, and the Landorus is going to use the Terra Blast, which looks like it's going into the Protect. So what a fantastic play from Pengy there. And Fluttermane showing that it is actually still faster than the Landorus, even after an Electro Web boost. I wonder if that Fluttermane is a speed boost. So it is the... What's that item? I've just temporarily forgotten. But yes, Booster Energy. Yes, Booster Energy. And has that speed boost, because now with the Fluttermane outspeeding the Landorus, I think the game is quite heavily in Pengy's favor.
Yes, and we see the Moonblast come out into the Landorus. It doesn't take much damage, so I think that's an Assault Vest Landorus, but it went into the Mousehold slot, who got the double protect off. That is a 1 in 3 chance for a double protect, and a beautiful play on Pengy's side to avoid a Terra Blast.
Yes, and that, I think, with that double protect being executed successfully, that there's not very much chance of Pengy's opponent pulling this off. And of course, the Terra Blast is going to come out, and the Fluttermane is actually going to survive thanks to that Mousehold's Friend Guard ability. And it looks like this is going to be the game, because Fluttermane outspeeding Landorus is not going to be able to knock out. The beat up actually coming off from this Mousehold is actually enough to knock out the Landorus. So Mousehold, just putting in quite a bit of work, just finishing off that game.
That was a great finish for Pengy's side to use beat up to knock out that Landorus. But what's also impressive was that Friend Guard. Friend Guard getting that 25% defense boost for its teammates does add in a lot of power for any Pokemon to survive hits. So Mousehold's ability was really underrated in stuff like this.
Yeah, that was critical. If the Mousehold hadn't been on the field, I don't think that Fluttermane would have survived the Terra Blast. And of course, there was that previous turn where the Mousehold did successfully get off a double protect. So maybe the battle could have gone the other way had the Mousehold not been able to go for that double protect. But then we also have to remember that if the Mousehold did fail the double protect and got knocked out, then you would have a Fluttermane which outsped the Landorus versus and against also the Annihilate in the back, and Landorus is not going to be able to knock out both Pokemon at the same time, even with the Earthquake, because there was grassy terrain on the field.
I do believe grassy terrain had expired beforehand,
Thara, okay.
What was also interesting to know that you just pointed up, If Mousehold goes down, Landorus is in a 2v1 scenario, and even with Terra Blast being able to potentially knock out the Annihilate or the Flutter Mane, given his opponent's choice, Rage Fist was still doing massive damage, and Flutter Mane at -1 was still faster than that Landorus Therian, so it begs the question if Annihilate at neutral speed would have been faster than that Landorus Therian, but that's something to find out in game number 2.
Yeah, I wonder what sort of adjustments that Pengy's opponent is going to make in that second game, because that was actually quite a strong, dominant game from Pengy's side, and I think there was some really key critical protects coming off from that Annihilate, just making sure that it is kept safe from the Thunderbolt and from the. We are going to go straight into game 2, and we're going to see a Mousehold Annihilate once again versus the Heatran and the Amoonguss.
Heatran and Amoonguss, two defensive monsters on Giulio's side against Pengy with the Mouse Aid. It begs the question if a Rage Powder is going to come out here from the Amoonguss to redirect a beat-up strategy.
Oh, and here comes the Arcanine. No beat-ups just yet. The Arcanine is going to come in to get that -1 attack on Giulio's side. And of course, both special attackers really aren't going to care so much, and the Amoonguss is also going to switch out. So Regieleki coming in, the Regieleki did manage to stop the taunt coming off from that Mousehold, so not something that we see as much, but perhaps that's why the Amoonguss switched out.
And out comes a Magma Storm from the Heatran, normally a 70% accurate move, but the after effect traps the Mousehold on the field. It does damage, residual. So now that Mousehold is basically trapped on this field, and it will not be able to switch out.
No, and Heatran is in a quite good position against the Arcanine because its ability Flash Fire, it doesn't really care much about any fire type moves coming its way. And now this Regieleki is in quite a good position, even though I believe, I'm not too sure what item that Regieleki is holding, but it will be able to fire off a really strong Thunderbolt, and Mousehold going for the Protect that turn just to keep itself safe.
As we see the Volt Switch come out on the Regieleki, it does good damage onto the Arcanine, but the after effect of Volt Switch allows Regieleki to do damage and switch out. So Giulio now has Regieleki in the back, and in comes the Landorus with its Intimidate coming out. Now the Mousehold and the Arcanine's attack stats are dropped by 1 stage.
It's a really good switch in from there. Snarl coming in, not doing too much to either Pokemon. Landorus is not going to care critically. The Heatran is now at -1 special attack, so perhaps Giulio might want to think about switching it out. Of course, with the Magma Storm in play, this Mousehold is stuck on the field, so it cannot switch out, and because of the residual damage at the end of each turn, that Mousehold time on the field is very, very limited.
But the other thing that we have to keep a note out for Giulio's side is that if he switches out Heatran here, now that it's at -1 special attack, that Magma Storm's residual effect of trapping Mousehold will be nullified, and Mousehold will be able to come back in, as we do see Cresselia come out on Pengy's side.
Yes, that is true. And now it looks like Pengy has revealed all of his Pokemon to his opponent, and the Landorus going for the U-turn, just straight up knocking out this Mousehold. Its pesky ability has kept its teammates safe, and now that there's no more Friend Guard, Pengy's Pokemon have a little bit less survivability in the oncoming turns.
That is true, and we also see that with the U-turn, the Landorus did take Rocky Helmet chip, so that is a negative on Giulio's side.
And this Magma Storm also coming out into the Cresselia. So, Heatran managing to land all these inaccurate moves, but, now that Giulio's being able to land that Magma Storm, Cresselia is also trapped in and is going to be taking residual damage. So, quite a good turn for Giulio there, and Annihilate now forced to come back in, but of course, it hasn't had any beat-up boost, and its best buddy, Mousehold, has been knocked out. So, this Annihilate survivability is going to be a little bit more reduced, and, Pengy is going to have to hope that his opponent is going to hit the Annihilate in order to boost up that Rage Fist. Or he could side hit himself with the Cresselia.
He can do anything to set up that Rage Fist right now, but he also had to keep in mind of a potential Regieleki Electro Web setup to get a Defiant boost, as we do see Amoonguss come out here, potentially for any Drain Punches on the Regieleki, as Volt Switch comes out on Regieleki to get damage and switch out immediately.
Yeah, Giulio has played this quite defensively and or just constantly switching in and out, not by manual switching, but by using things like U-turn and Volt Switch, and that was a really powerful Drain Punch and Annihilate. I don't know if Pengy was calling that out, or maybe just catching on to the fact that his opponent was just constantly switching in and out, and now going for is that a hypno? Oh no, that was a psychic for a minute there. I thought that was a hypnosis.
But it was a beautiful read on Pengy's side, banking on Regieleki switching out into the Heatran and not the Landorus, because Giulio recognized that if he brought out the Landorus, he would give Annihilate a +1 attack outside of the Rage Fist buffs, which have not come out just yet. So it makes you wonder if he did that deliberately, but that's a big read on Pengy's part to get that Heatran down to about 50% health.
Indeed, it was. And now that Heatran has been knocked down, I wonder, going into the next turn, is that Heatran going to start going for the Magma Storms again? Because, of course, every time you hit that Annihilate, if you don't knock it out, then you're just giving it a Rage Fist boost. And here we're going to see a Terror come out from this Annihilate now. It is going to be the Terror Water, so just wanting to resist any sort of attacks coming off from this Heatran.
Yes, it is. Terra Water will take Magma Storm and Flash Cannon damage, and it will have it due to it not being very effective, as we do see Heatran Terras into Terra Fairy, which is something that is not usually seen on Heatran in early Regulation D. It's usually been Terra Grass or Terra Bug.
Yes, and now going for the bulk up, just recognizing that if he doesn't get any sort of attack boost from that Rage Fist, he's better off just trying to boosting up its defenses and its attack. And now Cresselia going for the Lunar Blessing, just keeping its teammates safe. Magma Storm is going to come out once again from this Heatran. Managing to connect 3 times in a row. This is a very accurate Heatran.
Yes, it is. And the Spore comes out on the Amoonguss. The Annihilate unfortunately falls asleep, and Cresselia now is getting residual damage from the Magma Storm. Now, Lunar Blessing, that is a move that just came out in the Legends Arceus game, but is now legal on Cresselia. That is a great move. Healing 25% of your health and your teammates' health, but also curing status conditions.
Yeah, so Cresselia, however, this turn is going to go for Psychic, which does a decent amount of chip damage to this Amoonguss, and now Flash Cannon is also going to come out, is going to knock out this Cresselia, so a very bulky Pokemon has been knocked out on Pengy's side, and Pengy, I believe, is now down to his last 2 Pokemon, and Spore not going to work into the Annihilate because it was already asleep.
Which was a good play on Pengy's side to let his Cresselia go down and have Amoonguss self-target a Spore onto a Pokemon that was already asleep. But Annihilate now has taken its 1 guaranteed turn of sleep, which means that there's a possibility that it could wake up on this next turn. It remains to be seen if Annihilate will, but it's already at +1.
Indeed, and this Annihilate, of course, we see Flare Blitz coming off into this Amoonguss, just knocking it out. Perhaps the Amoonguss has been quite disruptive in this game, and now it's just the Arcanine and the Annihilate against a Heatran and I think a Regieleki and a Landorus. And it actually, now that Pengy has gone for the Terra Water onto this Annihilate, it will be taking super effective damage from the Regieleki.
And unfortunately, Annihilate still stays asleep from the Spore. As Magma Storm comes out on the Arcanine, this will be resisted, but it still does major damage on the Magma Storm, and it is now trapped by the Magma, and that is 4 Magma Storms that it hit. This Heatran is on a erupting fire right now with these Magma Storms.
I wonder how Giulio's been training his Heatran to be landing every single Magma Storm. That did quite a bit to Arcanine as well. And of course, it's really valuable to be getting that chip damage. Pengy down to his last 2 Pokemon means that they're just trapped in no matter what. And now Electro Web coming in. Oh no, that was not Electro Web, that was the Protector. Maybe Giulio just wanting to scout out what Pengy is going to do this turn.
A double Protect comes out on Giulio's side as Arcanine went for the extreme speed and Regieleki protects it, but Annihilate wakes up finally, and it went for Drain Punch into the Regieleki, but it protected. What a play on Giulio's side as the Arcanine takes Magma Storm, and it goes down!
That was a fantastic protect from that Regieleki, just keeping itself safe. And a really strong turn of events, and from Giulio maybe adapting to what happened in game one, just making sure that he does not allow the Annihilate to get any boost. And now the Annihilate got baited into going for the Terror, it's going to be taking super effective hits from the electric moves, and Drain Punch coming out, not doing bringing the Regieleki down to its sash, but with the Regieleki and Heatran and also Landorus in the back, I don't
And
think this
Magma Storm
Annihilate
goes
is
in
going
it
to
for
be
the
able to.
first. And then for the first time, a Magma Storm misses on the Heatran. 5 tries on Magma Storm, hitting 4, 80% success rate on a 70% move. And that is going to be game number 2 as Giulio forces a game number 3.
What a game without game 2 was, and just amazing adaptations made by Giulio, just recognizing in game 1, the mouse hold Annihilate bleed was just really, really dominant and just basically swept his entire team. So in game 2, he leads with the Among Us, and mouse hold in, I think, regulation B and C tended to carry safety goggles, but this mouse hold we saw was a rocky helmet, which meant that it could be redirected by any rage powders from the Among Us. So, really good play, and then switching out that Among Us turn 1, just not getting taunted.
Yes, and also the mouse hold being Terra Grass does also remove any rage powders, as grass types are not affected by any spores or powder moves in Generation 9 in Scarlet and Violet. So that's another part on Pengy's mouse hold, which is a benefit to not having to run safety goggles. But it does pose the question about the Annihilate. Now that we know that Defiant has been activated a couple of times, it makes Pengy think, how is the Defiant going to come out if the Landorus isn't on the field at the same time?
Yes, and I think that Annihilate in that game too just wasn't able to get that damage output out quite fast enough, because it didn't get hit at all until the very, very end. Giulio just realizing that maybe just leave the Annihilate till the end until all the other teammates have been dealt with, and then just double up into it, and that way you minimize the amount of turns that the Annihilate can actually, stay on the field and start landing all of its really powerful Rage Fists. And we see, I think our players are now going to have to think really hard about game 3, how they're going to adapt, and how the other player is going to adapt to their moves.
Yes, that is the case for game number 3. Pengy versus Giulio. Who is going to go 1-0 to start the Wide League World Rumble? We are going to get into game number 3, and it starts right now.
Our trainers are going to lead with Pengy on Giulio, leading with the Regieleki and the Among Us, and Pengy is going to lead with the mouse hold Annihilate. So Pengy going for the same leads all 3 games, just maybe wanting that mouse hold's really good ability and ability to redirect, whereas Giulio, valuing the damage output of that Regieleki, and having the Among Us out the front leading with it, just making sure that the mouse hold's either forced to taunt or forced to go for a terror, just to be able to dodge any rage powders or spores.
Yes, and with the Terra Water on the Annihilate, it does bode the question that Regieleki's Thunderbolt did massive damage onto Annihilate, but it still had enough HP to live the Transistor boosted Thunderbolt. But it does also raise the question about whether or not Giulio might go into a double attack instead of just risk the 1 turn and try to go for 2 and go for the KO on the Annihilate.
We see a Terror coming out from this mouse hold into the Terror Grass, so not wanting to have any beat-ups redirected or wanting to get spored, perhaps, and so the Thunderbolt is going to come out from this Regieleki into the mouse hold, not doing too much. Oh, it's a critical hit. I was thinking that did a lot more for a resistor hit, but Taunt, of course, coming out one more time from this mouse hold into the Among Us, just making sure that it can't go for any Rage Powders or follow me's Annihilate now. Going for the bulk up, just trying to boost up its attack and its defenses.
And the Among Us goes for the power pump. It's a double attack into the mouse hold. That is a brilliant play on Giulio's side, baiting the taunt on the mouse hold and going for the double attack into that slot. Annihilate does get its boosts off, but now this mouse hold is in a predicament.
Yes, what a really good play from Giulio. Now, this mouse hold, I think the last turn, the Thunderbolt was a critical hit, which was why the mouse hold took so much damage. So the mouse hold could potentially actually survive another Thunderbolt from this Regieleki, and here we're going to see it survive! survives on 3 HP, clinging on, and is now going to get the beat up off on this Annihilate. And now let's see which target this Annihilate goes for once the Mousehold has finished beating up its own teammate.
Yes, it is. Living on 3 HP is incredible. The Rage Fist has been boosted up. It's +1 into the Heatran, and the Rage Fist takes out the Heatran in one shot.
That Annihilate is now looking incredibly scary. It's at +1 attack, +1 defense, and Rage Fist has been boosted up to 200 base power. Landorus, of course, coming back in, but that's only going to help the Annihilate get another stage of +1 in attack.
Yes, it is. And with Giulio not terastallizing yet, he still has that terrestrial orb in his back pocket. Regieleki has not terastallized, so we honestly do not know its type. And we did see in game number 1, this Landorus is Terra Flying with Terra Blast. So it does bode the question, would Pengy try to bait with a follow me and risk Annihilate Mousehold going down here, but to get Annihilate with the Rage Fist into that Landorus?
The Mousehold is actually going to switch out this turn, maybe just wanting to keep itself safe. At 3 HP, any sort of attack is going to be able to knock it out. And Arcanine coming in, a really good switch, just dropping the attack off that Landorus, just making sure that if it does go for any Terra Blast, the damage output is going to be reduced. And now the Pengy is going to go for that Terra Flying onto this Landorus, indicating that it's probably going to go for a Terra Blast this turn. And let's see what target that Landorus went for.
Annihilate going for the Protect here, trying to nullify any double attacks potentially from the Regieleki and the Landorus. Regieleki goes for Thunderbolt, protected by the Annihilate. What did Landorus click? It went Terra Blast into the Annihilate! Oh my god, brilliant play by Pengy. What a prediction.
Yeah, this has happened. So Pengy has done this to Giulio. This is the third time actually in this set that the Annihilate has protected itself against a double up of a Thunderbolt and a Terra Blast. So now this Annihilate, still in quite a precarious position, but of course the Arcanine did manage to switch in for free, and now the Mousehold is going to switch back in after dropping the attack of that Landorus. So I wonder if the Annihilate is going to be able to survive this with the Friend Guard boost.
It will be interesting to see if the Annihilate will live with that 25% from the Friend Guard. Amoonguss comes back out onto the field. As Annihilate is still faster than the Landorus. It goes for the Rage Fist. And Landorus is down.
No, that Landorus was not going to be able to survive a +2 and 250 base power boosted Rage Fist. So Annihilate faster than Landorus, which is really, really interesting because Landorus, I believe, is naturally just slightly faster than Annihilate. Well, actually, I think their speeds are quite similar, but the Annihilate outspeeding that Landorus was really, really key. And I don't think that was something Pengy predicted either, because he protected that the Annihilate for all those games, just trying to dodge that super effective Terra Blast, but maybe he didn't need to because the Annihilate outsped.
Yes, and as the Mousehold is switched out for the Rillaboom, this is a great play on Pengy's side to get some extra recovery on his Annihilate. But it remains to be seen what is going to happen as Annihilate goes for the Protect on its side to nullify any attacks as Electro Web comes out and it is protected on the Annihilate. Will the Rillaboom take some damage? It does, and a speed drop.
Yeah, that was a really, really good play from Pengy and a really safe play because now Giulio is actually quite pinned. He's down to his last 2 Pokemon. The Rillaboom is free to just go for a Fake Out, and it's just going to go first and force a flinch on either Pokemon. So Giulio will have to protect to dodge that, and I don't believe this Amoonguss is carrying Protect. So, Pengy is quite safe to just Fake Out the Regieleki and then Rage Fist the Amoonguss, and then because nothing on Giulio's side can actually deal with this Rillaboom now, because Amoonguss can Pollen Puff, but it looks like that is a Assault Vest Rillaboom, and yes, the Fake Out going into the Regieleki.
Fake Out comes out with the priority, making the Regieleki flinch, and this Rage Fist takes down the Amoonguss!
Uh, that rocky helmet just chip damage, but I think at this stage the game is very, very heavily in Pengy's favor. The Reggie, like, he is a very, very strong Pokemon, but Rillaboom, I believe it is carrying the Assault Vest, and it's just going to easily shrug off any sort of electric attacks from that Regieleki. And Regieleki may be Focus Sash. Oh, actually, the Focus Sash got broken this game, so just in that last turn. So it looks like Pengy is going to take this game 3.
Yes, it looks that way with Rillaboom and Annihilate out on the field, and Regieleki, and the battle is over. Regieleki stays alive, but Pengy with the 1-0 victory over Giulio, getting the first win in the Wide League World Rumble.
What an exciting game 3 that was. That Mousehold surviving on 3 HP was just so key, because sticking around for for the turns during the game meant that the Friend Guard ability was able to be activated once again when it switched back in, and also it allowed Pengy to kind of cycle in the Intimidates and then cycle back the Mousehold in. But also, I think the Mousehold did get a critical hit from that turn when it took the Thunderbolt as a Terra Grass. So in all, the game would have been actually like that turn. The Mousehold should have survived from the Thunderbolt anyway.
Yes, it should have. But the Mousehold, it was incredible with the Friend Guard being able to live a critical hit plus a Pollen Puff. That was something that I don't think any of us saw coming, which was really big on Pengy's side.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that Pengy led with Mousehold and Annihilate all 3 games. It worked really well in game 1, did not go so well in game 2, and then worked really well again. I think from that round just showed us the power of Mousehold and just how strong it was. And if you can get that Rage Fist boost, the Annihilate is going to be really powerful.
Rage Fist has been a threat throughout its existence in VGC. Annihilate has been a staple because of it, and because of that Rage Fist, Annihilate just took this game over to another level. And congratulations to Pengy on a thrilling 2-1 set victory.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see Annihilate sweep, but that's what we got, and it was so fun to watch. And Giulio played really well in that game too, as well, just adapting to it. And we are going to cut to a short break as we get ready for our round 2. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back shortly.